Listen, you don't control everything that happens, but here's what's really in your hands: how you experience it, how you interpret it, and what you do next. That's your clay. That's what you can shape. Take traffic as an example. Two people, same traffic jam. The first one boils with anger, curses, heart racing, arrives at work stressed and drained. The second one takes a pause, plays their favorite music, thinks about important things, or just observes the moment. Both are in the same jam. Their reality is completely different. Not because the cars disappeared, but because one chose a different way to experience it. Let's dig deeper. The brain is not a passive recorder. It actively interprets everything it sees, hears, and feels. It filters billions of signals every second, deciding what's important, what's dangerous, what's possible. And these decisions are shaped by your beliefs, habits, and past experiences. If you believe the world is hostile, your brain will find proof of it. It will highlight every hint, every obstacle, every closed door. Not because the world is cruel, but because your filter is set that way. You don't see reality as it is. You see it through your lenses. Change the lenses, and your vision changes. This isn't woo-woo, it's neuroscience. Here's how it works. There's a part of your brain, the reticular system. It looks for patterns that match your beliefs. Bought a red car? Suddenly, red cars are everywhere. Not because there are more red cars, but because your brain started noticing them. The same goes for opportunities, kindness, chances. If you believe they're rare, you'll miss them. If you expect them, you'll see them. The world hasn't changed, your attention has. And this is where it starts. Awareness. Real awareness, not Instagram level. Watch your thoughts like a scientist, without judging, just observing. Which stories are running on repeat in your head? Which beliefs are you taking as facts, when really they're just opinions you inherited? Most people never check their inner voice. They think it's the truth. But most of the time, it's just fear in disguise or an old program from childhood pretending to be common sense. You need to hear that voice, but not obey it. Example, you're about to take a risk, start a project, talk to someone, try something new, and immediately a voice pops up. You can't handle it. You're not ready. People will judge you. Remember, this voice sounds authoritative and convincing, but it's not wisdom. It's your nervous system trying to keep you small. Awareness is hearing it and choosing differently, saying to yourself, thanks for the heads up, and moving on. That's agency. That's creation. Next comes intention. And this isn't just wishing. A wish is passive, vague, like, I want to be happy. Intention is clear, directed, specific. I choose rest, connection, work that matches my values. One is begging the universe. The other is a blueprint, a plan. Intention is a compass. It doesn't guarantee the outcome, but it guides thousands of small decisions in life. When you know where you're going, you stop drifting. You stop agreeing to what drains you and rejecting what feeds you, just because that's how you're used to it. But people get stuck here. They set intentions and wait. Wait for the universe to deliver while scrolling on their phones. Intention without action is just decoration, useless. Action is the bridge between your inner world and the outer world. It doesn't have to be huge. Small, consistent action adds up. One conversation, one page, one decision, repeated over and over. Imagine standing in a dark room. Your intention is to get to the other side. Action is the first step. You can't see the whole path. You don't need to. Move. Each step opens the room a little more. Most people wait for clarity before moving, but clarity comes from movement, not before it. You learn by doing, adjust as you go. Forget perfectionism. It's just a way to postpone action under the guise of standards. Resistance shows up, always. Voice, you're not ready. Distractions, fear that freezes you. Resistance is not a sign you're wrong. Most of the time, it's a sign you're on the right path. Growth lives outside comfort. If it were easy, you'd already be there. The focus isn't to eliminate resistance, but to move through it, not by force, but by persistence. You don't need to feel ready or confident. Just take the next small step. Then another. Momentum builds. Confidence follows action, not the other way around. Creating your reality doesn't mean everything is smooth. It means learning to handle it when it isn't. Building resilience, adapting. Plan falls apart, people fail you. You ask, wait, what now? What can I do? That's power, not control, but power. Control is an illusion. The more you try to control, the more fragile you become. Life is unpredictable. The only thing real is your reaction, and that shapes everything. Failure? People think failure proves they're not good, but failure is information. Data on what didn't work. Edison didn't fail 1,000 times. He found 1,000 ways that didn't work. The same applies to you. How you frame failure determines your path. See it as a finale. You stop. See it as part of the process. You keep moving. Reality favors those who don't quit. Paradox. The harder you try to force the result, the more you kill the possibility. Creation requires balance, intention and letting go, action and trust. Do everything you can, then release. Not because it's unimportant, but because gripping suffocates the process. Imagine a seed. You prepare the soil, water it, give it light. You don't dig every day to check growth. You trust the process. One day it sprouts. That's how creation works. Patience isn't passivity, it's active trust. You keep showing up even when results aren't visible. Deep transformation quietly happens in the in-between moments. But here's a trap. Some use create your reality to avoid real work. Affirmations over trauma, toxic positivity instead of dealing with pain. That's not creation. That's escape. Real creation is acknowledging reality, working with discomfort and pain without letting it define you. You examine your wounds, your patterns, not to suffer, but to understand. Understanding is step one toward change. Here's the thing about identity. It's like an invisible fence. You can see beyond it. You can imagine what's on the other side. But when you try to cross, something pulls you back. Not physically, psychologically. Your nervous system flags it as wrong, uncomfortable, unsafe. This is identity protection, your brain defending who it thinks you are. The problem? Most of your identity wasn't chosen. You inherited it, absorbed it, programmed it by parents, teachers, peers, media, culture. Thousands of voices telling you who you should be, what's acceptable, what's possible. You internalized it and made it yours. Now it runs in the background like an operating system, filtering your perceptions, shaping your decisions, limiting your options. You think, I'm not the kind of person who does that consciously, but you just don't do it. The thought doesn't even occur. Or if it does, it feels foreign, not you. That's someone else talking. This is the cage. Not bars, but beliefs. And it's comfortable, familiar. You've spent years arranging your life around it. Your routines reinforce it. Your relationships support it. Your environment reflects it. Changing identity disrupts everything. That's why most people don't. It's not that they can't. The cost feels too high. They complain about the cage while clutching the bars, wanting change but staying the same. Here's the truth. Identity isn't fixed. It's fluid, constantly reinforced or rewritten by evidence. Every action you take is a vote for who you're becoming. Do something once, it's interesting. Twice, it's a pattern. 10 times, it becomes identity. Your brain asks, who am I based on what I do? Not what I say, not what I think. What I do, that's leverage. You can't think your way into a new identity. You act your way into it. Small actions accumulate, become evidence. Evidence shapes belief. Belief changes identity. Identity drives behavior. Most people try it backwards. They wait to feel like a different person before acting differently. But feelings follow action, not the other way around. You write 1 page. You don't feel like a writer. You write 100 pages. You start to believe it. You write 1,000. It's who you are. Actions came first. Identity followed. That's how you break free. Not by asking permission from your old self, by acting as your new self, even when it feels awkward. Awkward equals unfamiliar. Unfamiliar equals growth. Growth equals change. Change equals what you're after. Second barrier, environment. You can't consistently behave in ways that contradict your surroundings. Not for long. Your surroundings exert constant pressure. People you spend time with, places you inhabit, media you consume, conversations you have, all of it shapes what feels normal, possible, acceptable. You might have strong intentions, clear goals, desire, but if your environment pulls the other way, you'll lose. Not because you're weak, because you're human. We're social creatures wired for belonging. Nervous systems regulate based on people around us. Everyone operates at a certain level. That becomes your baseline, your normal, your set point. That's why you regress when you return to old environments. Home for the holidays? Old patterns reappear, not because you forgot who you became. The environment reactivates old programming. Family expects you to play your old role. Friends relate to you the way they always have. Physical spaces trigger old associations. Your brain recognizes the context and loads the corresponding behaviors. Automatically, unconsciously. You don't decide to act like your old self. It just happens. If you want a new reality, curate your environment like a garden. Don't just plant seeds and hope. Remove weeds. Protect from pests. Adjust the soil. Control what gets in. That doesn't mean abandoning everyone from your past, but adjust proximity, limit exposure, create boundaries. Some relationships support growth, others subtly sabotage it. Not malice, discomfort. Your change threatens their stability. If you can change, maybe they should too. That's uncomfortable. So they pull you back. Jokes, skepticism, doubt disguised as concern. See it for what it is. Social homeostasis. Group equilibrium. Not a personal attack. You have a choice. Stay in old equilibrium or step into a new one. You can't do both. Creating a new environment often means seeking people already where you want to be, not to leech, but to normalize new standards. Around people at a higher level, their normal becomes your baseline. Impossible starts to feel doable. Uncomfortable becomes familiar. You're not trying to be them. You're letting their presence recalibrate what's possible. That's why masterminds work. Communities matter. Proximity to excellence changes people. Information is everywhere, but normalization is the game changer. Being around people who treat your desired outcome as obvious, expected, already done, it shifts something deep. Your nervous system relaxes. Your brain stops flagging it as impossible. You start to believe, not because someone convinced you, but because you see it lived. Evidence greater than argument. Environment equals constant evidence. Make sure it supports where you're going, not where you've been. Third barrier, momentum or lack of it. Objects at rest stay at rest. Not just physics, psychology. Starting is hardest, not because first step is difficult, but because it requires breaking inertia. Your life has rhythm, structure. Changing it takes energy, force, willingness to disrupt stability. Most underestimate this. They think starting should feel natural, exciting, energizing. Sometimes it does. Often it doesn't. Often it feels heavy, awkward, effortful. That's normal, not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's inertia, the default resisting change. Your life wants to stay the same, not because it's good, because it's known. Change, even positive, registers as threat. Your nervous system doesn't care if change benefits you. It cares if it's familiar. New equals danger, so it resists. You feel this as procrastination, distraction, sudden urgent need to reorganize instead of doing the thing you said you'd do. Not laziness, biology, your brain protecting you from perceived danger of unknown. Way through? Don't wait for resistance to disappear. It won't. Move anyway. Act despite resistance. Not against it. With it. Here's the deal. Resistance will always be there. You'll feel it. You'll notice it. The difference between people who get results and people who don't isn't motivation. Motivation is what you feel when conditions are perfect. Discipline is what you do when they're not. Most days won't feel right. Most days you won't feel motivated. You'll feel tired, distracted, uncertain, overwhelmed. And on those days, you still act. That's how momentum is built. Not on perfect days. On the days you didn't feel like it, but showed up anyway. That's where real work happens. Identity shifts. Your brain starts believing you're serious. Anyone can act when inspired. The real power comes from acting when you don't feel like it. Someone who keeps promises to themselves regardless of feelings, that's power. Real power. Not over others, over yourself. Once momentum builds, everything changes. Objects in motion stay in motion. First step hard, second slightly easier. By the 100th, it's automatic. You're not fighting resistance anymore. You're riding momentum. Days compound. Progress becomes visible. Confidence grows. Not because someone hyped you up, because you have proof. You showed up. Again. Again. Evidence becomes unshakable belief. But here's where most people sabotage themselves. They build momentum and stop. A vacation, an illness, a busy week. Miss a day, then another, then a week. Suddenly you're back at rest. Starting over. Feeling inertia all over again. Momentum isn't permanent. It needs maintenance, constant feeding. You can't build it and coast. Not at the same intensity every day, but consistently. Rhythm greater than intensity. Better to do small things daily than big things sporadically. Gaps kill momentum. Keep the gaps short. Keep rhythm steady. Do something, even small, every day. Don't let the gap widen. Restarting always harder than continuing. Protect momentum like a flame in the wind. Feed it. Guard it. Don't let it go out. Reigniting takes far more energy than maintaining. Make it non-negotiable. Part of your identity. Not something you do when you feel like it, but because it's who you are. People where you want to be, they don't rely on motivation. They have systems, rhythms, non-negotiable standards. They protect momentum because they know the cost of losing it. Fourth barrier, immediate versus delayed rewards. Your brain wants instant gratification. Eat, feel full now. Avoid danger, survive now. That worked great for survival. Works against long-term goals. Most meaningful things pay off later. Work out today, results come months later. Study today, mastery comes years later. Your brain doesn't like delayed payoff. It wants dopamine now, so it steers you to scroll, binge, snack, instant reward. Meanwhile, important work sits untouched. Not because it's hard, because reward is far away. Willpower alone won't win. You'll exhaust yourself, burn out, give up. Solution? Better design. Engineer immediate rewards into long-term work. Track progress. Check off boxes. See streaks. Watch numbers rise. Breadcrumbs lead to the destination. Immediate wins feed your brain while you work toward the long-term goal. Environment design also matters. Make right choices easy, wrong choices hard. Want to write every morning? Put the notebook on your pillow. Stop scrolling at night? Put your phone in another room. Remove friction for good. Add friction for bad. Most rely on willpower, but decision-making depletes energy. At day's end, you default to easiest path. Make the easiest path productive. Design your environment like you're designing for your tired, stressed self, the one who defaults to comfort. Fifth barrier, tolerance for discomfort. Everything you want lies beyond discomfort, not suffering, discomfort. Discomfort has purpose. Pain that stretches, grows, transforms. You cannot expand without expanding your capacity for discomfort. Most people retreat the moment it feels uncomfortable. They return to safe, familiar, small. Comfort zone equals prison disguised as safety. Feels good because it's known, but it limits you. Everything new, better, bigger exists outside it. The only way out? Through discomfort. Walk into it, feel it, survive it. Then your comfort zone expands. What was scary becomes normal. What was impossible becomes doable. You're bigger, stronger, more capable. This requires willingness. Willingness to look foolish, fail, be uncertain, not know. Most aren't willing. They'd rather stay small and comfortable than grow and be uncomfortable. You can't have expansion and comfort at the same time. Not at first. Eventually the new becomes comfortable. But initially it's awkward, strange, uncertain. Embrace it. See discomfort as signal. You're growing. You're on the edge. Expanding, not drowning, dancing with it, pushing boundaries, stretching limits. The more you practice, the better you get. Now let's talk about building tolerance and confidence. You don't eliminate discomfort. You expand your capacity to handle it. What used to feel overwhelming now feels manageable. What seemed impossible now feels challenging but doable. You're not limited by fear, uncertainty, or comfort. You're limited only by what you're willing to attempt. That's a much bigger playing field. How do you build this gradually? You start small. You don't jump into the deep end if you can't swim. Begin in the shallow end. Practice. Build confidence. Then go deeper. Same with discomfort. Take small challenges that push you slightly beyond your edge. Not so far you panic, just far enough to stretch. Do this regularly, daily if possible. Small acts of courage. Speak up in a meeting. Send that message you've been avoiding. Try something you're not sure you can do. Each time you survive it, your nervous system learns. Discomfort isn't danger. It's unfamiliar. And unfamiliar becomes familiar with exposure. This is desensitization. The amygdala calms. The cortex takes over. You think clearly, act intentionally, choose wisely, but you must expose yourself repeatedly. Live it until your nervous system gets the message. We're okay. We can handle this. We've done it before. We'll do it again. That's when confidence becomes real. Not fake it till you make it. Built from evidence, experience, and survived discomfort. Confidence that can't be taken away because it's based on proof. Now, failure. Everyone says failure is part of success, but few explain how to use it. Failure isn't something to survive. It's information, feedback, course correction. Every failure tells you, this approach didn't work, that assumption was wrong, this strategy needs adjustment. Not bad news, useful news. Most treat failure as a verdict. I failed. Therefore, I'm a failure. Wrong. You failed at one approach. That's different. You're not your results. You are the person generating the results. And you can generate different results by changing your approach. Failure is data, nothing more. Scientists run experiments, get unexpected results, and don't conclude I'm a bad scientist. They think, interesting, let's investigate. Treat your failures the same. Analyze. What happened? Why? What will I do differently? This removes emotional charge. Failure stops being personal, shameful, or something to avoid. It becomes something to extract value from. That shift is everything. You stop being afraid to try. You stop being paralyzed by the possibility of failure. You know failure is expected, normal, useful. So you act, try, fail, learn, adjust, try again. This is the cycle. This is how mastery is built, not by avoiding failure, but by metabolizing it, turning it into fuel. Successful people fail more, not because they're unlucky, but because they try more. They're informed by failure, not stopped by it. They keep going, adjusting, learning, eventually succeeding. Not on the first try, not the 10th, but eventually, because they didn't quit. They saw failure as a yield sign, not a stop sign. Slow down, assess, proceed. That's the difference. Successful people see failure as temporary, a moment, a data point. Unsuccessful people see it as permanent, identity defining. Once you believe failure defines you, you stop trying. But it doesn't. Nobody is destined to fail. Failure is outcome, not identity. You can change outcomes by changing inputs, learning, growing, trying differently. Real failure is stopping, giving up, deciding it's impossible. Everything else is part of the process. Next, rest. Everyone glorifies hustle, grind, relentless push. Yes, effort matters. Consistency matters. But recovery matters too. Your body needs rest to build. Mind needs rest to consolidate learning. Nervous system needs rest to regulate. You cannot sprint forever. You'll burn out. Lose what you're building. Rest isn't weakness, it's strategy. Sustains long-term effort, maintains quality, prevents breakdown. Think of farming. You don't plant the same field every year without letting soil recover. Same principle applies to you. Periods of being, resting, restoring, not producing or achieving. Uncomfortable in a culture that measures worth by productivity? Yes, but essential. You're not a machine. Biological organism. Rhythms, cycles, limits. Ignoring them makes you brittle, fragile. Strategic recovery. Work intensely, then rest intentionally. Push, pause, sprint, walk, not lazy, sustainable. That's how you win long term. Not by outworking everyone in short term, but outlasting them. Still building when others burned out. Still showing up when others gave up. Not superhuman, smart, sustainable, built into system, honored your humanity, rested. Luck? People hate talking about it. Messes with the narrative. Work hard equals results. But that's incomplete. You can work hard and not get results. Variables beyond control. Timing, market conditions, others' decisions, random events. Not fair, but real. What to do? Don't blame. Acknowledge. Accept some things are outside control. Focus on what's inside control. Effort, attitude, consistency, growth. You can't control outcomes, but you can control inputs. Over time, better inputs increase probability of better outcomes. Not guarantee, probability. You're not forcing results. You're stacking odds in your favor. Showing up consistently, skillfully, prepared. When luck strikes, you're ready. Luck isn't entirely random. Some of it is, but some is created. You create luck by showing up, being visible, building relationships, developing skills, positioning yourself where opportunities exist. The more you do this, the luckier you get. Not universe favoring you. You've increased your surface area for luck. More places, more people, more attempts. more skills. Let's break down discipline, momentum, and environment, the mechanics that separate people who succeed from people who plateau. Discipline is acting even when you don't feel like it. Motivation is what you feel when conditions are perfect. Most days won't feel perfect. You'll feel tired, distracted, overwhelmed, uncertain. Discipline is showing up anyway. That's where identity shifts. That's where real growth happens. Momentum is built on the days you don't feel like it. First step is the hardest. Second, slightly easier. By the 100th, it's automatic. You're not fighting resistance. You're riding momentum. The same force that made starting hard now makes stopping hard. Days compound. Progress becomes visible. Confidence grows, not from pep talks, but proof. You showed up. Again. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. They build momentum, then stop. Vacation, illness, busy week. Suddenly, inertia hits again. Momentum isn't permanent. It needs feeding. Consistency matters more than intensity. Better to do small things daily than big things sporadically. Short gaps, steady rhythm. Small daily actions maintain momentum. Make it non-negotiable. Part of your identity. People who are where you want to be don't rely on motivation. They have systems, rhythms, standards. They protect momentum because they know the cost of losing it. Immediate versus delayed rewards. Your brain loves instant feedback. Eat food, feel good, avoid danger, survive. Works against long-term goals. Most meaningful results are delayed. Working out, studying, building skills, writing, creating. Reward feels distant. Brain craves dopamine now. Social media, junk food, mindless scrolling. Easy pleasure over hard work with delayed payoff. Willpower alone can't win. Solution? Design. Create small, immediate rewards inside long-term work. Track habits. Check boxes. See streaks. Numbers go up. Instant feedback. Long-term goal remains, but brain gets little wins along the way. Breadcrumbs to the finish line. Brain likes it. You make progress. Environment design. Make the right choice easy. Wrong choice hard. Want to write every morning? Notebook on your pillow. Stop scrolling at night? Phone in another room? Friction removed from good choices? Added to bad ones? Don't rely on decision-making alone. Decisions cost energy. Tired, stressed, depleted. You'll take the easiest path. Make easiest path productive. Tolerance for discomfort. Everything you want lies on the other side. Discomfort does not equal suffering. Discomfort equals pain with purpose, growth pain, stretching pain, becoming pain. Most people retreat at discomfort. Comfort zone is a prison disguised as safety. Small, familiar, limited. Expansion exists outside. Walk through discomfort. Feel it. Survive it. Gradually, what was scary becomes normal. Edge expands. You grow, bigger, more capable. Be willing. Willingness is the skill. To be uncomfortable, look foolish, fail, be uncertain. Most choose comfort over growth. Trade-off is clear. Expansion or comfort, not both. Initially, new feels awkward, strange, uncertain. Accept it, embrace it, stretch the boundary, dance with discomfort, grow your capacity. Now let's talk about confidence, failure, and rest. The hidden pillars most people overlook. Confidence isn't faked. It's built from evidence. Start small, survive discomfort repeatedly, and your nervous system learns. Unfamiliar, not equal danger. Every small act of courage, every risk taken, every avoided fear proves you can handle more. Confidence grows from experience, not belief. Failure isn't personal, it's feedback. Data, information. Every failure tells you what didn't work, what needs adjusting. Treat it like a scientist. Unexpected result? Interesting. Investigate. Adjust. Don't say, I failed, therefore I am a failure. One attempt doesn't define you. Change your approach. Learn. Try again. Repeat. Eventually you succeed. Not first try, not 10th, but eventually, because you didn't quit. Failure equals temporary data point, not identity. Stop seeing it as a stop sign. Treat it as a yield sign. Slow down, assess, proceed. Most successful people fail more than unsuccessful ones. Not unlucky, just persistent, informed by failure. Rest is non-negotiable. Everyone glorifies hustle, grind, and constant effort. But your body, mind, and nervous system need recovery. Muscle builds with rest. Learning consolidates with rest. Regulation happens with rest. You cannot sprint forever. Ignore this, and you break down. Think of it like farming. You rotate crops, let soil rest, replenish. Same with yourself. You need periods of pause, not producing, not achieving, just being. Culture measures worth by productivity, but ignoring rest doesn't make you stronger. It makes you brittle, fragile, prone to breaking. Strategic recovery is part of the work. Push intensely, then rest intentionally. Sprint, then walk. Push, then pause. This is sustainable success. Long-term, not short-term wins. Outlast, don't just outwork. Show up when others quit. Build when others burn out. Sustainability is power. Respect your biology. Build systems that honor cycles, limits, and recovery. Luck exists, but it's only partly random. Timing, market, other people, chance. Yes, factors outside control. Accept it. Focus on inputs you control. Effort, attitude, consistency, skill growth. Over time, better inputs increase probability of better outcomes. Not guarantee, but better odds. You can create your own luck. Show up. Be visible. Build relationships. Develop skills. Position yourself in opportunity-rich environments. Increase your surface area for luck. More places, more people, more skills, more experiments. You won't control outcomes, but you'll be ready when opportunity appears.